There's a lot of content out there for Wrath Classic these days, way more than there ever was back in 2008.
Yes.
The internet has come a long way and information spreads at an incredible rate thanks to the likes of social media and Discord. And when information is so readily available, it's kind of hard to not be expected to do the right thing. Level the fastest, gear the most efficiently, and play optimally. But for some people, that is the fun, and that is fine. In fact, I want to make a point to bring this up right at the start of the video. There are people who gatekeep in an elitist or traditional way, I suppose, with min-maxing content and not wanting to be grouped up with noobs. But then there's—
Wow, that tabard looks really good with that armor. I might need to get exalted so I can use that. That looks really good. Yeah, look at that. Holy fuck.
also what I call casual gatekeeping, by believing that others can't be having fun by playing differently from themselves. At the end of the day, it's up to you to define how you have fun in a game, whatever that may be. But what even is a casual player? What is a min-maxer? For casual, there's often more focus on solo or soloable content. They play the patch more so than the game continuously, and can want to perform well in content, but don't always really have the time necessary to get there. They'll have good intentions to do so though. Well, sometimes anyway. As for a min-maxer, if they aren't in the game, they're reading about the game, they're watching videos or streams.
I think the biggest problem and friction is people that want to be carried by min-maxers, or min-maxers that want everybody else to play around them. I think that min-maxing in a game, like, I min-max like crazy. Like, all the time I'm min-maxing. Like, I used to make videos on how to min-max. I enjoy that gameplay. But the difference is that whenever you go into a random group and then you want everybody else to play the same as you do, you're the one who's wrong. So it's like in Classic WoW. Like, I've used this example before. If you are in a Classic WoW guild that gets Warchief's Blessing as Alliance, and you're showing up with a Nyxia buff and the ZG buff every week, and that's it, you are the one who's fucking wrong. You are the one who has joined a group of people that has made a distinct and very obvious set of expectations, and you're the one who's not actually fulfilling your role, right? You join the group, you're not fitting in. And then conversely, if you are the person who's getting Warchief's Blessing and every single other fucking buff, and everybody else in your guild just gets ZG and the Nyxia buff, and then they just go run BWL and, you know, they get the loot and that's it, and you're getting mad and getting your feelings hurt because they're not giving you all the loot, then you're the one who's wrong. Because you have come into a group of people that have an existing fucking expectation. You want the expectation to change, conform, and adapt to you. That's just as fucking, what's the word for it? It's just as entitled and annoying and unfair as the opposite. So if you're a min-maxer, play with other min-maxers. If you're a casual player, play with other people that are casual. If you're somewhere in the middle, which is where I think everybody is, play with people that have the same mindset as you. These problems and these frictions happen whenever people join groups of other people that want to that want to be able to get carried or something like that. Like, this is what happens in retail WoW all the time. It's people want to join a clear raid for like one of the new raids, but they don't actually want to, they want to join a raid where everybody else has already killed the boss except them. They want a carry raid.
They love a good BIS discussion and do everything they can to ensure their characters are set up as best as they possibly can be. They often also play the game continuously and take part in way more organized group content.
Oh, absolutely. And again, there's nothing wrong with wanting to get carried. I get carried all the time, right? I mean, fuck. Like, I'm sure some of you guys do too. It's not a big deal. But, like, don't go around and complain that there's no groups out there that'll invite you whenever the only groups that you're signing up for are clear raids. You're not signing up for the progression groups because you don't want to progress. You just want to go in there and kill it in one try. It's, again, entitlement. Entitlement, entitlement, entitlement.
And there is more to it to both, there's crossover for both, and I'm not even sure you can fully define the categories, but those are some of the key ways that gameplay between the two crowds differ. And you bet people tried to min-max as much as possible during Classic, OG Classic, back in 2004. They just, well, didn't have the tools that we have now, and they were playing a totally different version of the game too. Back when Classic released in 2019, there had been well over a decade of work put into really solving the Classic puzzle. You play Warrior if you want to DPS or tank.
Yes.
You level through dungeon cleaves.
Yes.
Mages are the best gold farmers.
Obviously.
Rogues are top tier in PvP.
True.
And for a lot of people, it was a chance to revisit a piece of the game that they missed. Getting that rank 14 PvP gear and title, defeating Cthulhu or Kel'Thuzad, or maybe something a little more humble, like getting to level 60. And there was no shortage of information online about how to do these things. And players really reinforced min-maxing into the fabric of the game, often to its detriment. Should I level out in the open world or do some dungeons, or do I want to stare at a wall whilst a mage boosts me through the journey? Do I want to play my character whenever I like, or do I have to go and pick up world buffs and then be forced to raid?
This was one of the coolest things in Classic WoW. Whenever everybody would get on the Griffin at the same time, that was so cool.
Do I want to PvP at my own pace and gradually rank up, or
like
should
this stuff like this is like why I wish they would do like Classic Plus and like not Wrath Plus or something like that, because I feel like you had, like, there were so many like really fucking cool moments like this in like Classic WoW. And I feel like in the newer expansions, you just play the continent that gets added into the game. Like, I love Wrath. I basically, like, I want to have Wrath class design with Classic World. Classic world building. Like, that's really what I want.
I join a pre-made and crush pugs for 12 hours a day. It was
I think
still
Wrath class
overall
design
fun,
is superior
don't get
in
me
all
wrong.
ways.
But man, thinking back to some of the stuff people did, it was just completely insane. Because WoW from day one always has been, at its core, the casual-friendly MMO. Take death penalties in gaming, for instance.
Yeah, people forget this, but yeah, fucking EverQuest and these other games, WoW was good, and it was considered the casual game at the time.
Popular MMOs at the time, like EverQuest or RuneScape to name two, would have you lose progress upon death. You would drop your worn items, lose experience, forget spells that you'd have to go and relearn. A death was a really bad thing, and this was in the days of terrible internet connections as well. When going to bosses on RuneScape, I would only take 3 expensive items, because if I lost connection and died, and I didn't get back in time, my gear was on the floor, and after a few minutes, other players could pick them up, and they weren't about to give them back, I can tell you that right now. You know what happened in World of Warcraft from day one? You die, your screen goes grey, you run back. It's just a bit of a time loss, that's it. You didn't even lose anything in PvP either. This meant that even the most casual player eventually, yes, it took some people literally months, so leveling wasn't fast, but eventually could reach level cap or whatever their goal may be.
Yeah.
And I think looking back, people built Classic to be something which it just wasn't. A hardcore MMO with challenging content, none of this retail easy mode. Do you remember WildStar? Part of the advertisement.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and I remember saying this about Classic WoW before Classic WoW came out, and I got so much hate. So many people were just completely shitting on me for saying that the game was going to be a joke and it was going to get cleared in no time whatsoever.
Campaign was we aren't on Azeroth anymore. They also mentioned hiring devs from the vanilla era of World of Warcraft, and that they were going to be making a hardcore MMO, just like they used to be.
Just
which
so
they
stupid.
did, to be fair, but let's not get into that now. The reality with Classic is everything just took a long time, and with no guides, pretty sketchy.
And I think that's one of the big differences that a lot of people now realize and back then didn't realize, is that the difference between a geared player and a good player and a bad player was most of the time just a grind. It's like some guy that had high warlord gear just played the game all day. He wasn't good at the game. He wasn't like, you know, this like amazing PvPer. A lot of them were, right? Because they played the game a lot, but it's not a guarantee. You just played the game a lot. That's it. It was a participation reward.
add-ons and just generally not much help online, the pace of getting anything done was glacial. Fast forward 4 years, TBC comes and goes, and our next expansion is announced, Wrath of the Lich King. I played Wrath all the way through. I remember the comments when it first came out and how people see it now, looking back. It was the point where the casuals won. Here's a post.
I remember there was a guild on the server called Wrath of the Lazy Kids. And that's what people thought, is that most of the people that played Wrath were lazy and they just didn't want to do any grinds or anything like that.
From 2007 announcing achievements with comments such as April the 1st today. This is getting more and more casual. There is no way I'm returning in Wrath of the Lich King. And World of Warcraft, Xbox 360 style. And things did get a lot more casual friendly. Little did they know at the time, this was only the beginning. Heroic dungeons were made significantly easier compared to TBC. No long achievement chains in order to access raid content. Mounts available at
and by the way, all of those guys that were complaining about the game being easy, they didn't have the Black Proto Drake. You keep that in mind. They didn't have the Black Proto Drake. They weren't gladiators. No. No, they had participation reward gear from Burning Crusade and Classic WoW that allowed them to be better than everybody else because they could play the game and they were unemployed.
Levels, heirloom gear to make leveling that much easier, and even the ability to queue up and join a dungeon from anywhere in the world. In fact, there was a phrase that people used back then, World of Warcraft's equivalent of Christmas noobs, I guess you could say. People who started in Wrath by the OG players were known as Wrath babies. This new generation of player were growing into a World of Warcraft with all of these easy mode features, welfare epics thrown at you for minimum participation, gear feeling more seasonal, the ability to flavor of the month reroll. It was certainly a large turning point for the game. These days, Blizzard has already taken steps to make aspects of the game more casual friendly. Not so much in Classic, we were still very no changes at that point in time, but in TBC they have made PvP gear available for a wider range of PvE tokens than what was originally. They've removed all achievements during the Zula Man patch. That shouldn't have happened till Sunwell. They've squished XP rates between levels 10 and 60 during the pre-patch, not later on in the expansion, and they've lowered the requirement for heroic achievement keys down from revered to honored early in the expansion too. But Wrath is the most casual friendly.
Again, like I think that doing attunements is fine, but doing attunements twice is not fine. That's what really sucks, is you have to go and do the exact same thing again on another character.
Version, in Classic at least, of the most successful casual MMO of all time. More solo player stuff in achievements, collection tabs for your mounts and pets. It's easier to level alts through now having heirlooms, and characters just feel a lot more powerful in general with less mana issues. We have several raid difficulties now, including 10-man, which at the time were specifically created to cater towards friends and family groups. Dual specialization to allow you to swap between activities easier. Plenty of new dungeons and areas introduced in all major content patches.
Yeah, if they do a new season of Mastery, I just hope they let you respec for free. Like, I don't want to ever have to pay for a respec again in my life. I don't want to do it. It's a waste of money.
And significantly more things to do for a person who is solo without loads of time to play and to give them goals to work towards. Of course, on your server there will be people with hundreds of thousands of gold, a dozen characters, and they will be ahead of you literally the moment the expansion drops. But it is an MMO. Time investment has to mean something somewhere, right? Or what's the point? There will be players aiming for server first with a full quest log ready to turn in the moment the level cap's raised. There will be players obsessing over Warcraft logs and passes, but people have been creating ways to measure performance since vanilla. Now we just have amazing tools to do it. It's truly impossible to separate the game from min-maxing. It's just part of the player base which an MMO RPG attracts. But
everybody liked min-maxing. Like, even back in vanilla WoW, everybody wanted the Joanna's leveling guides because they wanted to level their characters faster. Like, as soon as they saw, like, anybody doing anything, everybody in the community would copy it. It's the same as like Swifty. Like, think about how many Night Elf warriors were made because of Swifty. That's just the way the game goes.
Comes down to it, Wrath of the Lich King Classic will be a casual experience first, and an opportunity to min-max second. So if you haven't put many hours into Classic or TBC so far, yes, you'll be behind others. Again, it's an MMO, there should be an element of that. But when the expansion drops, it's not going to be a huge deal. Many of us just don't have the time that we used to if you played when Wrath dropped originally. And I think that has a way smaller impact on how much you can get done in the game when compared to either Classic or TBC. I wanted to put this video together in case anybody is concerned that they are too far behind, they won't have time to play, or whatever it may be. I see these.
You will absolutely have time to play. Like, if you have a few hours a night to play the game, you will absolutely have more than enough time to play Wrath Classic. Especially at the beginning. Like, the only raid that is a large time investment, really, is Old War.
Questions popping up a lot over the course of an expansion. Don't worry about it. Wrath is a good time for more casual players, and on top of that, there's a decent amount to do with every major content patch that will come out. As a side note, I think Wrath is also great if you're a min-maxer as well. Maybe not more so than Classic, and that's based off the level of optimization which was possible with buffs and out-of-raid preparation. You could go really all out on Classic, but I think it's easily better than TBC. The whole heroism, power infusion, or innovate stacking to play what was sometimes a one-button class was a bit of a miss for me. Yes, I know Wrath has buff stacking too, but at least you don't need to be in a perfect group, and you can't get 4 heroisms anymore. It's a little bit more sensible. Anyways, that is everything I wanted to cover today, just a topic which I felt like bringing up. Hope you're all enjoying the pre-patch. Drop any thoughts down below, and as always, thank you all so much for watching and listening in, and I'll see you all in the next one very soon.
That was a good video. Yeah, that was good. People who haven't started preparing for Wrath at this point should not even play the game. Yeah, true. Like, to me, I don't even know if I'm gonna like my tier 3 character. If we're gonna play him in Wrath, me and McConnell are gonna play him in Wrath. We just go in there and just do it. Who gives a shit? Why worry about this shit? Why get upset about it? Just play the game. It's the difference between like one day. Like, I hope to get 2 characters to level 80 in the first week. That would be great if I could do that. Anonymity brings the stupid asshole out in people, but not only are games played, people blow off the steam and frustrations. Is it better for those people to pop off IRL or in a stupid game? So you're saying that like what? If you don't let people like have emotional outbursts in video games, you're gonna do it in real life? That's too bad. Like, you've got to learn to control yourself. Stop making excuses for children. Yeah, just be fucking normal. I don't care about your problems to the extent that they affect me negatively. I can be empathetic towards your situation. I can, you know, I want you to get better. I want things to be good for you. But the moment that you affect me negatively with your situation is the moment that my empathy goes away and I don't care about you anymore. I just want you out of my life. It's that simple.